Mr. Anderson, now we had our eyes on you for quite some time now, and I must say, we are very, very impressed.
Well, good for you. But I'll have my phone call now. I don't care what you have on me. I still have my rights.
I understand your confusion, Mr. Anderson, and I want to let you know that we are not the government, and you are not under arrest. In fact, sir, we would like to offer you a job.
Well, thanks, but no.
You are also not free to go.
What do you want?
Like I said, there is a job that we would like to give you. You see, I am here to make you an offer, Mr. Anderson, one that will alter your future irrevocably.
What offer?
I can assure you, you will benefit from this arrangement greatly. Those who came before you certainly did.
What are
You are not the first, nor will you be the last that we choose for the world. Unfortunately, our time is very limited, and this has a very short deadline. So are you in?
Okay, I'll do it.
Excellent. Excellent. We shall begin immediately. Don't you worry, Mr. Anderson. Everything will be taken care of.
You still haven't said what this is all about, or what job you want me for.
Tell me, have you ever considered politics, Mr. Anderson?
What?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the National Political Council Signing Day. I'm Doug Dickinson.
And I'm Charlie Cox, no relation, Doug. From the looks of it, we've got a hell of an event ready for you tonight. We have 3 fantastic politicians on the booth ready to further their public service by signing with a major donor. Will they crumble under the pressure, or are we looking at our nation's future president?
Well, I'll say, Charlie, our contestants today all seem to have bright minds and even brighter futures, but can they get the endorsements to bring them to the next level? Also, as an announcement, we would like to mention that we did come under a lot of scrutiny last year for not trying to diversify our panel, and the heads of NBC wanted everyone to know that these comments have been heard. Now, let's get this event started with one of our most unique white guys. Charlie?
That's right, because up first we have Congressman Detissa Welburn from San Francisco, California.
My fellow Americans, today is a day that will go down in history. We have all gathered here today in celebration of one thing: progress, specifically American progress. While we face scrutiny our entire lives, today is the day we get to slap that judgment back in the face of everyone that has ever doubted us. Today is the day our past can finally be left in the past. Today is the day that 95% of the majority population forgets about my 2 domestic abuse charges and that one time I spat on a homeless man at a Sharks game. And if they do remember, they'll realize I'm their best chance of having a civilized 4 years. As of today, of course. America, don't call me Detissa. Call me Billy, because today is the greatest day I have ever known. I can't live for tomorrow, because today I am signing with BioClan!
Oh my goodness, Doug. I don't think anyone saw that deal coming. As an investment and medicinal research enterprise, BioClan currently owns the majority stocks in 2 news stations, 3 magazines, and 5 online influencers that I'm sure your nephew watches. Welburn has a massive blanket over the digital world.
Well, Charlie, let's see if I can get a word in. Now, Detissa, how does it feel to once and for all have a home in the BioClan family?
Well, I must say, I have never been happier. And I am proud to say as well that today, with my supporters behind me, that we are going to save the planet. We are completely ready to revert our carbon footprints and normalize the renewable energy sources that have been present for decades. Don't forget that the thermostat is constantly changing, everlasting, and we have...
Oh, and just like that, we have our first bag of the night. I swear that was one of the quickest bags I've seen in years. Doug, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing just fine, Charlie, but I cannot say the same for Congressman Welburn. I'd be more worried about his life than his polling numbers right about now. As with that deal, BioClan is the majority stockholder of Welburn's guilty conscience.
Gee, Doug, is that a little insensitive?
Well, it would be, Charlie, if the company Statista just signed with didn't just happen to own an office building literally made of tar. Now, let's look at Senator Harry Pusey from Clarksville, Tennessee, who is ready to sign with his 25th donor ever.
Well, everyone, I'm just going to go on record and say I'm absolutely titillated for another sexy 6 years in office. I cannot wait for the hotel bill these sons of bitches got paid for. Woo-hoo! Am I right? I mean, let's be honest, what do y'all think most of this money was going to be spent on anyways? Advertising? Fucking rallies? Try the mortgage I'm still paying on my ex-wife's house. Anyway, fuck it. I'm signing with Turning Point. Let's go. Fuck it, right? Fuck it.
Well,
Woo!
no shocker there, Doug. Harry's been leaning towards these right-wing organizations since the early 2000s. Let's see.
Harry, congratulations on the success. However, do you feel at all that this signing conflicts with some of your previous remarks from the past 20 years?
I don't know what anything of y'all are talking about, you know what I mean? We're just going back and forth. I've always kept the same beliefs.
So back in 2004, you stated the
Yeah,
United States is too mature to be funding outside nations' wars, unless our safety is directly being put in jeopardy by one of these countries in global conflict.
Why, yes. Yes, of course. You see, America doesn't need to step its shoes anywhere it doesn't need to. So when my boots are like sheepskin, you know what I mean? Woo! Each step matters, baby. Don't forget it.
But 4 years ago, after the drone that killed Soleimani, you tweeted from your home in Tennessee, "Oh yeah, baby, that's how we do it. Get served a slice of Liberty pie with the blood of justice running all over your thick skull. Let's go, baby. Our country can go wherever the fuck we want."
Well, like I said, I have always been a fan of America taking its shoes across the world. Create a global democracy, you see? Like I said, baby, shoes are meant for walking. Woo! You know what I'm talking about?
Mr. Pusey, is it fair to say you have switched political ideals based on your overall success with each organization?
When you put it like that, you know, it doesn't always... well, it was nice knowing you.
Well, I think it was only a matter of time with that one, Doug. Also, I'd like to point out that our last speaker already blew his brains out in the hallway after learning that. So we're currently down a presentation.
Now that he's been bagged, I just want to say that Senator Pusey has been extremely inappropriate with specifically myself and many of the other security guards on the...
Well, that goes the show, Doug. I think that wraps about everything up for us here. I'm Charlie Cox with my colleague...
Well, wait a second, Charlie. Who do we have here?
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, Americans, I am here to ask you what it is you think makes this government the best. Is it the people we put into power, or is it the organizations we build to forever keep the flow of commerce? If you ask me, I think it is the fact that we can come together as citizens and all stand up for a cause we believe in, a cause we know in our hearts is right and would do anything to make sure is given the same respect as every other aspect of our beautiful American lives. That is why today I am not signing with anyone, but I do want to use my time to finally break a mold on an issue most politicians refuse to even mention. America, we finally need a brave voice to talk about the conflict in the Middle East. A voice that is going to give you the truth and is not afraid of what oppositionists will do about it. I personally believe...
Oh my goodness. I completely forgot we cannot end this great event without at least one assassination attempt from a rival organization. Who do we have here today with us, Doug?
Hey, let's find out who are you associated with, sir.
Yeah, it's your boy BD Swizzle. I'm just here to tell you we need to really stop.
Oh! 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 Would you look at that? Another end to a fantastic ceremony. We'd like to thank everyone who's watched today's event, and we want to make sure you vote in this year's upcoming election. I'm Charlie Cox.
And I'm Doug Dickinson. No relation. Have a great night, America.
Oh!
Welcome to a new season of Under SF. We would have had a proper set, but we couldn't afford it. 2024 is a big year for politics, with state primaries and, of course, a presidential election unlike anything we've seen before, except in 2020. And for many college students, this will be their first time participating in a presidential election. To talk more about this, we've invited fellow college students Jacob Valenzuela and Noah Allen to speak about their experience for this year's election. Jacob and Allen, thank you. Jacob and Noah, thank you so much for being on. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for having me.
Fantastic. My first question is for you, Jacob. As someone who is politically active as a college student, what would you say is an important moment that got you, that made politics relevant in your life?
I mean, going back to 2020, I was a senior in high school. I didn't get to graduate or whatever, so the world shut down and stuff. No sports, nothing. So I just started watching the news, really. And then ever since then, like, I started learning more about politics and like the news and what's going on in the world. And I just felt more, felt like we should do something about it because like we're the next generation and we should care more about what happens to this country.
Absolutely. My next question is for the both of you. As college students, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how represented do you feel in politics today? Noah, we'll start with you.
Ooh. Well, as a college student, I feel like I'm constantly hearing about how the generation around my age, I want to say from 20 to 28, is very underrepresented in voting and in politics. And it's mainly the older people who are more involved, who have more life experience and want to say, while we're all kind of struggling in the rat race trying to get by. I really think that I think age-wise, I don't feel very represented. As a college student, definitely. So I would say, I want to say maybe a 4. I feel like a lot of people I've met on campus are very politically minded, hence why I'm here. So maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but at the moment, I don't feel very represented as a college student.
Gotcha. And do you have a number for that, you think? 1 to 10? A 4?
4,
Awesome. Jacob?
I agree with Noah. I'd say we're represented like at a 5.
Yeah.
Because I know both parties are having trouble with young voters, and that's because we feel unrepresented in politics. Like we feel, some people our age feel like our voices don't matter in the grand scheme of things, which is true in some ways because people are still protesting on the streets for certain policy changes, and nothing's changed.
No, I agree. How do you perceive young people in politics? What roles do you think that they could have in politics today? Jacob?
Well, I think young people can start trying to recruit their friends to start voting for one. I know I have a couple of friends that they talk about politics, but they think their vote doesn't matter at the end of the day. And I think that's a flaw in our society compared to other countries. Mexico, for example, 54% of their population votes compared to America is either 20 or 30%, which is pretty astonishing population-wise, people voting. And I think if we get more people to vote at the younger voters, we definitely see some different changes in this country.
I agree. Noah?
Well, that was very well put. That makes a lot of sense. My thinking is that I feel like the only way we can really get involved is the same way you would get involved in any other job, is start at the bottom of the ladder, you know? But I do feel like a lot of my fellow peers are going around and they're rallying and they're saying, hey, vote, we need to, they're drumming up people to come in and vote and participate, because I think that's the biggest thing, is nobody wants to. Everybody thinks, my voice doesn't matter. I really think that one of the best ways that I've seen people get involved with at least politics, or the scheme of enacting change by expressing your voice, is through the CSU strike that we had recently. A lot of people have kind of, organized and decided to go against something that is being presented from them, not necessarily by the government of California, but by the CSU board itself. And I feel like that was a great introduction to some people for maybe politics.
Looking ahead, where do you think young people can really get involved with politics and make a difference to the political climate that we have right now?
You brought up media literacy earlier, and I feel like knowing how to see through those echo chambers and understand that algorithms are trying to feed you the same content you want to see, and knowing how to navigate all that is an essential piece of our generation that maybe some previous generations don't understand. I know my parents are sitting in the same echo chambers yours are probably. I do really feel that people, at least in our generation, can get involved in being able to communicate with us. We, as we started this conversation with, is that our generation is the least active in politics, and maybe it's because the avenues we use for communication aren't the ones being used by politics in general. They're still using news agencies, and they're sending stuff out over broadcast cable news networks, and instead of putting stuff out. And I know people from my generation are clipping conversations from, different speeches, whether it be Biden or Trump or other stuff going on, and that's how it's being spread.
Yeah.
But it's not being done by these individuals directly. So I think us being able to bridge that communication gap is how we can get involved, because I know everybody I know wants to be a social media influencer, at least in some sort.
I do, at least.
Exactly.
Would you have anything you'd like to add on to that before we wrap up?
I think even just talking about it to our peers, like I always talk about, I always bore my friends with like dumb politics, and they just hear it, they're like, oh, like, it's interesting, I learned something new every once in a while from you. But I think even just speaking about it to our peers and having the conversation amongst ourselves helps inform people. It makes them draw their own conclusions, which makes them a more informed voter in the end, which I think really helps.
Us overall, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That was really well said. We're going to wrap up here, but thank you for tuning in to our very first segment of Under SF, Under Budget. Have a good night. All right.
Well done.